What up, what up? This is Astro here, talking about Mercury in Leo in the retrograde. Yay! Now, sorry. Now, I was gonna just talk about Mercury in retrograde, period, right? But I really wanted to focus on the whole retrograde. I will be focused specifically on, the whole retrograde, excuse me, the whole Mercury transit, the whole experience of Mercury and Leo. And the reason I wanted to is because I kind of wanted us to think about the whole idea and the whole lesson of Mercury and Leo and how the retrograde is included into that, why it's that important for this year and the next year, because this is the first year of us focusing on, not first year ever, but this is like, the cycle coming full circle again with us focusing on fire energy and how it's connected to the Mercury energy. You get what I'm saying? Because if I don't know if you guys noticed, but like there's like 2 or 3 years of Mercury focusing or in retrograding, excuse me, in a specific element. So there's gonna be like 2 or 3 years of it being in fire signs. 2 and 3 years is gonna be back in earth. 2 and 3 years in water. Blah 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 blah. Okay. Um, Actually was in earth last year. So, or was it the year before? Oh no, it was last year too. I think it was in both. I think it was in like Cap and Sag, and that's how it started. Something like that. Anyways, I'm talking too much. Let's kind of get to this, okay? Now, I already told you I kind of wanted to like not just talk about Mercury retrograde in Leo, but just Mercury and Leo in general. So Mercury and Leo in general started June 29th and is going to end September 5th. Now you actually probably are wondering why the fuck is it going to take so long? Well, it's because Mercury is retrograding, okay? Oh, my cat just scared me. Sorry. It just came from the cat. Mercury will be retrograding in Leo between July 26th and August 19th. So it's like extra like 3 weeks of like it going from 23 degrees of Leo all the way back to like 11 degrees Leo. So then it has to go from 11 degrees and start all over again. Now, don't you think it's quite interesting that it's doing that in the almost the entire second decade and the first and the third decade, but sorry, these animal noises, like I should be used to this. Anyways, don't you think it's interesting that it's happening in the almost in the entire second decade and a little bit of the third decade, but not really the first? I think it's because we probably expressed it enough. And so we're gonna kind of get more into that later, okay? But let's talk about retrograde. So retrograde, you guys probably know what this is already, but I'm just gonna explain it. It is when a planet is actually moving forward, but the actual speed of it moving forward is going way slower than Earth, so it looks like it's going backwards from the Earth's view, from the sky, when it's actually going forward. So a good example is when you're like on the highway, you know this car's going forward, but it looks like it's going backward. That's the same thing that's happening during retrogrades. Okay, it's not technically doing the moonwalk. It just look like it is. Okay. Now, um, like during retrogrades, right, when it's transiting, it means it's a time for being introspective and reflecting and really trying to figure out why we do the things that we do pertaining to the energy of what Mercury is in or whatever the planet is in, okay? So it's something that we really need to focus on, and this is like universal, like everyone needs to focus on this, excuse me, more than on a universal level, but on a personal level as well. So, as even if you're not a Mercury in Leo natally, you need to understand basically why do I express myself the way that I do, which is connected to Leo, and how it's connected to my thoughts and communications, which is connected to Mercury. Excuse me. So I wrote kind of like a sentence that probably could conclude this a little bit more. We need to reflect on communication and how we think, specifically with how we express ourselves in any way. It means talking, showing our talents, showing what we create and what we focus on, things like that, right? So again, the sun is the self-expression reaction. The sun is connected to Leo. Um, so why do we react the way we do? Why are we focused on specific talents? Like, how is that connected to our thought process? How that's connected to our communication? Are we communicating our self-expression properly or the best way we can? Why aren't we? Why are we? You know what I mean? Like, it's, even if it's something that if you have this like straight and everything's good, right? How you can even improve more onto that, or how did you get from where you are now, like from where you were before? You get what I'm saying? It's always good to reflect, even if you're straight on a certain situation in your life. It's always good to reflect. So I'm a 12th houser, so of course I'm gonna say that, and I'm gonna love reflecting. But something to definitely think about. Okay. Now let's talk about the decans. Okay. So the first decan, we're only gonna hit this once, because remember, we're going like Mercury's going to be at 20 degrees, 23 degrees Leo, and then go back to 11 degrees. And the first decan is between 0 and 9. So we're only going to hit this once, okay? So the first decan is the sun, basically a sun decan, which is interesting because Leo, well, it's not interesting, it's like duh. But Leo rules the sun, and then it's a sun decan. That's where it's also a sun decan, so it's like double sun, so it's like big Leo energy in the first week of Leo. Very focused on self-expression, talents, how we do things, why we react the way we react, our creations, our children, all that stuff. Okay, having fun, right? No wonder it's in the summer. Like, everyone has fun, like in Leo season, pretty much. Okay, unless you got like some weird shit going on in that season, like Chiron and Leo or something. Anyways, let's keep this going. Okay. So this is where we're supposed to leave, honing on our talents and self-expression, and focusing on why we express the way we express ourselves. Why it's like real bare bones Leo. Okay, why we express the way we express ourselves. Why we have like we raise our children a certain way if you have kids. Or why your children express themselves the way they express themselves. Like, it's good to focus on that during this time. What else? Like, about the things you create. Like, why'd you create them? Like, what's the whole meaning of the things that you create, the way you express yourself, the things that you focus on talent wise, stuff like that. Why you do the thing, like why you have fun the way you have fun. Why do you date the way you date? Because the fifth house is the house of dating and casual sex. Like, why you have casual sex? Why don't you have casual sex? Like, it's just really, it's no answer is right or wrong. It's really just you reflecting on why you do the things you do when it comes to your self-expression. Okay. Now the second decan is in Jupiter. Okay. Now this is when we actually start philosophizing why we do what we do, and why we're good at it and why we're bad at it. And so we're not just kind of like thinking, like the first decan, we're just thinking about why we do the things we do, or actually even realizing the things that we do, the way that we self-express ourselves, right? While this decade, we're really starting to connect this with beliefs and philosophies and ideas, and kind of bringing it all together, kind of creating a thesis statement with what we came up with in the first decade, right? Now, the funny thing is that we're going to hit this decade twice. So it's going to, I see this as two ways. That means that most likely, most of the universe is going to get this wrong the first time on our philosophies. So we're going to get to the third decade and go back into the second decade so we could philosophize again. Or this means that we are being tested, right? And I really feel this way with retrogrades. That like, okay, you philosophize and you feel like you express yourself this way for a reason. Now we're going to kind of go back at it again just so you can make sure that this is the right way. And do you need to make some edits on this philosophy? Are you going to really make some changes on, if you do want to make changes when it comes to how you express yourself, things like that, okay? And then it also may be coming back too, because what I believe when it comes to any sign that has a Jupiter decant, this is a great, especially when it's retrograding, um, it is a great time to manifest internally, okay? So the first go around of the first decade, this is when we start manifesting internally, trying to make things happen through positive thinking and positive speaking, especially because we're talking about Mercury here that's retrograding, and it's in a Jupiter decade, which brings abundance, prosperity, and good luck. So we really have to be thinking positively, speaking positively with our self-expression. If we feel like we don't express ourselves the best way we can, we have to focus on that. If you want to get better at a talent, you have to focus on that. If you want children, or you want a better relationship with your children, you want to connect with your children more, focus on that. If you have beautiful ideas and creations and you want to bring it to life, focus on that, okay? Now, sorry. Oh my goodness, it's like this bee. It's like near me and it needs to go away. All right, sorry. So, great. Again, like I said before, Jupiter, when it's Leo, when it's a Mercury in Leo retrograding in a Jupiter decade, it's a great time to do some internal manifestations, because Jupiter brings you good luck and prosperity and abundance, right? So that's the first go around, when it's like going into actually no, that's the second go around, excuse me, that's the second go around. So this is when, again, we're going to start reflecting on the good things that happened during the first go around of when Mercury went to the second decade, which is the Jupiter decade of Mercury, Leo and Mercury, excuse me. When it went in the first go around, we might have gotten prosperity and good luck and abundance and awesome philosophies about why we do the things we do. And it's just kind of like things kind of came all together and it seemed good. But again, when it comes back again, when it's retrograding, it's kind of asking you, like, are you sure this is the right way? Like, are you just thinking this way because you got prosperity and abundance from externally? You know what I mean? From the external world. Try to get it now through the external world. And it's kind of making you realize that you need to actually focus. I probably am confusing y'all for what I said before, and excuse me for that. For the first go around, so when Mercury goes from 10 degrees Leo to 90 degrees Leo, and it's going direct, right? Going through those this second direct, it's kind of like you're getting all these like kind of like good things happening for you when it comes to your self-expression and things that you create and your talents. But then it's going to go backwards, because it's making you kind of realize that, are you getting these things because you deserve it? Like, are you expressing yourself the right way? Are you using your talents the appropriate way? Is your philosophy about your self-expression correct? It's kind of making you just go back and think about that all over again, okay? Sorry for the confusion, y'all. Hopefully y'all get it, and if you don't, feel free to comment. Don't talk no funny shit, because it's not, no, just don't do that, okay? Thank you. All right, now, on the third decade, so at first, it first go around, right? Mercury is going to only hit 20, 21, 22, and 23 degrees, and then it's going to go backwards in the second decade, like what I mentioned before, right? But then it's going to go back to the third decade again. So it's going to retrograde from the 23rd degree and go backwards to the 11th. The third degree is in Mars, so this is kind of getting the fire under our butt to work and use our self-expression to get anything that we want, okay? Because remember, Mars is the planet of motivation and drive and kind of getting things done and going for it. You know what I mean? And at first, we're getting the fire under our butts, right? Because um, Mercury is going into this decade in a directly, not retrograding, like it's going through it in a direct um, transit, right? But then it's going to start retrograding and then retrograde into the second decade. And so it's funny, we're going to get this fire under our butts, but then we're going to be like, wait, am I doing this right? You know what I mean? Like, am I expressing myself right? Am I going through my talents right? Am I creating right? Is it a good idea to have children, or am I raising my children right? You know what I mean? You're gonna really start wondering, like, oh, no, 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 let me not do this yet. You know what I mean? And then it's gonna go back to the second decade where you get to philosophize on that self-expression I was telling you about, right? Then after you kind of figure out the philosophy of the second decade, it's going to go back to the third um, decade again. And then that's when you have a new idea, new attitude about the philosophies of your self-expression and the things that you create and your talents, and then you're gonna go for it all over again. Okay. I hope this was clear, guys. I feel like I really confused you guys with the second decade. Let me know if I did. Okay. And again, in a nice way. So the funny thing is, the retrograde is actually starting a day before the solar eclipse. Okay, so this is kind of crazy. Sun is actually going to be conjunct North Node in Leo at um 23 degrees, right? And you see the 2 and 3. North Node will be in 5 degrees. So they both equal like 2 and 3. 2 plus 3 equals 5. And then 5 degrees. You know what I mean? So the number 5 is very important. Now, the number 5 um, in numerology means huge change, huge transformation. But the number 5 in tarot means conflict or confrontation, right? So think about these two things. That it might be a little bit of conflict and confrontation during this time, especially we're in a Mars decade when this retrograde first starts, and Mars is very aggressive and assertive sometimes. Um, but the thing is, though, it's like, first of all, like, make sure you check yourself, right? You don't want to go too far, but also know that, okay, this is for the betterment for me. This is for my positive transformation. So I'm feeling all this aggression and anger because of this. And you have to think about this too. Mars is also going to be retrograde as well. So there's going to be so much pent up energy and frustration and anger and assertion that you're probably going to get really, really just annoyed. Don't blow up. Relax, please. This is going to be retrograde energy, so your communication is going to come off, and how you're thinking is going to be off, and you're going to be doing like the wrong things. You know what I mean? Make sure you don't. Okay. If also, I just randomly thought of this. If you have fun you have fun like while traveling, especially like a regional traveling, local traveling, not like traveling to foreign lands or far away. There might be some mishaps during the retrograde, so and communications might be messed up in general through you communicating to others, you communicating with your phones and the internet and stuff. So be aware of that. Don't let it piss you off. Again, this is time for reflection. You're being told to stop, and things are like kind of like stopping, like making it like a hard ass stop, because it's wanting you to not take action right now when it comes to communicating and thinking. Just reflect on it and bring that connection of how you communicate and think through your self-expression. Okay, kind of connect all those all together. And with this happening a day before solar eclipse, which the solar eclipse is all about self-expression. Not all about self-expression, excuse me, all about transformation. And this this Mercury retrograde is about transformation too. Um, I feel like it's just a catalyst. You know what I mean? Um, and just because I think this is really pushing people. And not to get on a stand real quick. I think this is really pushing the universe to really start focusing on using your talents to do what you want, to do the work that you want. Don't just take no job and take a job just because it pays the bills. Don't just take no job and be miserable at it. Don't kill yourself over a job, literally and figuratively. Don't lose anything over a job, literally or figuratively. It is making us really focus on just beyond our self-expression, our talents, and what we do, and how we have fun, and how can we monetize that? How can we move forward with that? How can we um, make it our work, right? So we could be happy at work. You spend most of your waking time at work. Don't you want to make sure it's a job that you care about, that you love, that you enjoy? Not just some job that you have to go to every day. Like, you know what I mean? It's a time. It's definitely a time to think about that, and to after thinking about it, transform your life so it can actually happen. You can get the things that you want. Okay. Now let me talk about the aspects. Okay. So when I'm gonna break this down actually. So I'm gonna talk about when Mercury is at 23 degrees Leo while it's retrograding. Okay. Then I'm gonna talk about when it's in 17 degrees Leo during the retrograde, not when it's going direct. And then I'm gonna talk about when it's 11 degrees Leo while retrograding, because that's towards the end, in the beginning, in the middle of the retrograde. Okay. So in the beginning of the retrograde, when it's 20 degrees Leo, um, Mercury is going to be semi-sextile Venus and Virgo. I actually already talked about this in my Venus and Virgo video. So if you saw this, you're probably going to say, hey, you already said this. Yep, I did. So this is going to be a weird time where, like, you're going to be wondering what I've been working for, planning and organizing, like, for when it comes to my desires. Is that really what I wanted? Is that really how I want to express myself? Is that really connected to my talents and how I have fun? Like, did I all work for this for nothing? You know what I mean? Venus represents desires, Virgo represents routine, and then Mercury represents thinking and communicating, and Leo represents your self-expression. So you see how that all comes together. Um, yeah, you're gonna be second guessing yourself. Just know during retrogrades, and is this retrograde and any other retrograde that you can think of. During retrogrades, it is it is a time where, like, again, wires are crossed, especially during Mercury, because it represents communication. Your thinking's not the most clear. So don't think that, okay? Is what you've been working for all this time is what you're supposed to be getting, okay? This is going to be happening during the third decade of Virgo and Venus, the decade where we're supposed to receive some rewards and our desires for what we've been working hard for. And so the rewards and desires may not be exactly what we think we wanted, or not exactly how we communicated what we wanted, but in the long run, it's going to all work in our favor. We're just not thinking clearly and communicating clearly right now, okay? So just chill out. Just chill out. Um, Also, Mercury is going to be in conjunct Pluto in Capricorn, right? And so, similar type of energy, but instead of it being focused on the desires, it's going to be focused on our um, transformation. So this is going to be a time where how we're currently thinking and communicating to ourselves and to others is not going to be matching with the transformation that's supposed to be happening to us right now. Our transformation, is in yeah, I'm going to say it like this. Our transformation is supposed to be focused on status, recognition, and our career. But what we're thinking about right now and reflecting on right now is going to be on our self-expression. It's going to be reflected on our talents, um, and just how we react to things. Now, that's totally different from your recognition and status. You think about your recognition and status, you're thinking about, okay, how am I supposed to be recognized to these people? I want to not look like a level-headed person, want to look smart, but like self-expression doesn't give a fuck about looking a certain way. Self-expression is like, I just want to be me. I want to express myself regardless. So it's kind of confusing. Like, it's funny because your self-expression, your talents will get you the stats and recognition, but if you don't kind of control it, it can all go haywire, and you can be actually recognized as something that you don't want to be recognized. Or if you think about it like this too, you want to be recognized for the talents that you have, but again, you kind of have to balance them all out to get the best of both worlds. You get what I'm saying? Um, Also, when Mercury's in 23 degrees Leo, it will be also semi-sextile in the Sun and North Node, which the Sun and North Node, I believe, is going to be in the same degree, at degree 5. And I mentioned that already. So, with that energy too, it's going to be funny. So we're going to, it's going to be kind of funny. We're going to actually be reacting and expressing ourselves in a certain way, and then we're going to reflect on it like, why the fuck did I do that? You're going to be like, why the hell did I do that? That doesn't make any sense. That's not, like, you're gonna like think, you want to think and communicate one way, but you're gonna express yourself a totally different way. You're gonna be totally confused, like, why did I do that? Like, that's not how I want it. That's not how I usually express myself. That's not usually my temperament. Like, that's not what my goal was. Like, why did I do this? So um, don't freak out, because it's also connecting your North Node. You're reacting that way, and you not kind of like, you're expressing yourself and not really following your thoughts, or how you want to express yourself, um, is for a reason. You have to think about it. Sun is how you react, right? It's going to be conjuncting North Node, which is your life path. So I feel like karmically, your guides are like making you react a certain way because you're supposed to be reacting that way, because again, it's connected to your life path, what you're supposed to do. So you're kind of being spiritually guided to do something, and it may even seem like you are possessed a little bit, you know what I mean, or you're channeling something and you're like, where the fuck did this happen? It's leading you to the right life path. So even though you feel like you're thinking, like how you usually think and communicate is totally different from how you're reacting and you're expressing yourself, it's fine, just go with it, but also reflect on how you express yourself too, because you may have a better understanding of your life path in general. And then lastly, for the 23rd degree retrograde in of Mercury, it's going to also in conjunct Moon in the Capricorn during this time. So it has so much in conjunction semi-sextiles, man. This especially the beginning of this retrograde is gonna drive people crazy. It really is. Um, we again, it's connected to what I just said before. We're reacting um, differently from what we usually think and how we usually communicate, and the transformation is different from how we think and how we communicate. Um, like, it's all happening that way because we're actually reacting to our emotions. Okay, um, our emotions are definitely connected to the transformation that's supposed to be happening. Um, which I was saying when it was this Mercury in conjunct Pluto, and Pluto represents transformation. Our emotions are again divinely trying to steer us in a different direction so we can actually go with this transformation, and our minds are not there yet. We're Because the thing is like we're trying to move forward with what we're thinking and how we're communicating, and we're not supposed to. We're supposed to be reflecting, and so you're trying to push forward, especially because it's the beginning of this retrograde, and so we're not even like aware of how this retrograde is working at this moment. You're gonna be trying to move forward, and your emotions, which again is connected to your intuition, is pulling you back into being going through this transformation that the Pluto in conjunct um, Mercury is trying to steer you to. You get what I'm saying? So there's that. So the beginning of this retrograde is gonna be tough as fuck. Don't freak out, y'all. Especially all these retrogrades, y'all are gonna just go crazy. Just know that this time shall pass. Like it's supposed to be teaching us something, okay? Um, Next, when Mercury is going to be retrograding in Leo in 17 degrees Leo, Mercury is going to conjunct Sun. So that's quite interesting. So this is going to be a time where we're finally going to be, what we're thinking and communicating is going to come together with how we are expressing ourselves, how we reacting to things, right? And I feel like we're just gonna kind of grab everything together finally from that big mess of that week before, and we're gonna like, okay, I have to really kind of gather myself together and start expressing myself on like not having these, not channeling other information, not having these beings steer me. Like I have to grab it all together, reflect on what just happened to me, and start consciously thinking about about my thoughts and about my communication and how I want to use those thoughts to express myself. And so um, this is actually going to be a high thinking time. We're going to be thinking a lot. We're going to be speaking on how we um, speaking. We're going to be like expressing ourselves on like through communication hugely. And we're gonna be sounding quite intelligent too. But the thing is, we might be a little bit too. It's either like this. We're gonna be a little bit too logical to the point where like we're not gonna have any type of emotional connection to things, and we might hurt people's feelings that way, or we're going to be a little bit too self-expressive and not really care about other people's self-expression, and it might hurt people's feelings that way. So just be careful, okay? um, Also, when Leo is going to be retrograding in 70 degrees, I mean Mercury is going to be retrograding in 17 degrees Leo. It's going to be squaring Jupiter. Oh God, all these aspects are disgusting. So it's going to be squaring Jupiter in Scorpio, right? So we're going to be trying to be philosophizing on things, and particularly when it's focused on like intimacy, emotionally bonding with others, binding relationships, like intimate connections, including sex, um, shared money, like inheritance, or class action suits, death, transformation, and things like that. But we're going to be like actually thinking and communicating about our own self-expression. So we're not going to really want to focus on togetherness. Our thoughts are going to be really focused on ourselves. So we're going to be confronted with philosophies that are about like relationships of all different kinds, platonic, romantic, whatever, but as long as they're like emotionally binding. But we're not going to be like, no, I want to express myself that way. You're going to seem a little bit selfish. Your thoughts and communication are going to be quite selfish, because you're like, okay, we know that you want to express yourself this way. We know you want to focus on that and your talents, but let's think about just not, yourself, but the other person involved that you're in this emotional binding relationship with. And yeah, you're just not going to be about it. um, and it's going to fuck up your luck, honestly, because Jupiter is going to be direct by that time. And, you're going to fuck up your luck. It is gonna happen. It's funny. It's happening during the Jupiter decant as well, um, and like it's just gonna be like a hard ass lesson for you. It really is. But it's pushing you because because the luck's gonna be a little bit off and your abundance gonna be off. It's pushing you to think a different way so you can get that abundance back. Okay. Lastly, when Mercury is retrograding in 11 degrees Leo, is going to be conjunct North Node, and which means it's going to be opposite South Node. So with that, we're going to be thinking and communicating about our life path, what we need to do forward to get to where we have to be, not only in a physical level but a spiritual and soul level. How can we fully ascend to the where we need to be? Now this is interesting because remember I was talking about that transformation with Capricorn, making that Capricorn moon and that Capricorn Pluto. Um, Ascension is not just a spiritual thing; it's a physical thing too. So we're trying to ascend to get recognition, ascend to get um, the status that we're supposed to be having, right? So we're gonna actually be thinking about that now. Like we're not gonna be fighting it so much. We're gonna really be thinking about it. Like, okay, I'm doing this shit wrong. What do I need to do to fix it? You get what I'm saying? To get to the right life path so I can feel comfortable emotionally, physically, mentally, all that, spiritually. Um, and it's going to be opposite the south node. So you're going to let go of those old ways of being so focused on how people perceive your talents, perceive your self expression, and you're just going to be self expressive. You're not going to care about what anyone thinks anymore. Before, it seems like in those other aspects I was talking about, it seems like the reason why you were just fighting so much is because you were so focused. You said in your mind and you really probably thought that you were really focused on your self-expression. You really weren't. You were actually focused on your self-expression and how people are going to perceive your self-expression. You can get a certain recognition. When in actuality, you need to just focus on your self-expression, and then when you're just authentically being yourself, then you will get the status and recognition that you deserve. Okay. Um, Next aspect is Mercury is going to be sextiling Venus in Libra. So then you're gonna come around circle and you're gonna be like, oh yeah, let me focus on relationships. You're not gonna get to the point yet of focusing on emotional bonds, but you're taking a step, taking a little baby step and focusing on having like a meeting of the minds, really vibing and connecting and understanding the beauty of that significant other, whether romantic or platonic, that you have with you. Okay, again, you're gonna get to the emotional bonding eventually, but you really want to focus a little bit more on other people's ideas, and it's gonna flow easy. You know what I mean? It's not gonna be difficult, but the other person in the relationship's ideas are gonna be kind of different, and so you're gonna really learn from each other and understand each other, and you're gonna be focused on that, thinking about that, communicating on that, which is sweet. And you may not be in a relationship now, but it could be any type of relationship like platonic. And even if you can't think of someone that you can get like that with at the moment, you're gonna be thinking about your future partner and how you can relate with them in that type of way, and really connecting with you know people to get the desires that you want. You know what I'm saying? Lastly, Mercury's still gonna be square Jupiter in Scorpio. Womp womp womp. Now whack, right? But again, like I said before, um, the reason why it's still there is because yeah, you're taking the step of moving forward and focusing on relationships on a more like vibey type level, but not emotionally bonding type level. And Jupiter still wants you to focus on that because that's where you get the abundance. Because Jupiter's in Scorpio now and it's direct, so it ain't playing anymore. Okay. and that's what you will get the luck. Understand me, please. All right. So that's my video, y'all, of Mercury and Leo and the retrograde that it's in. I hope you appreciate this, y'all. Just note too that actually that remember it's going to hit the first, the second and third decans twice. Um, so you just try to reflect on that. Know that the aspects that I mentioned, when it was at 17 degrees and 11 degrees, and even at 23 degrees, remember that you'll be feeling, when it's retrograding, you're going to be feeling those things internally. When it's direct, you're going to see these things externally, okay? But yeah, please comment, like, subscribe, share, care, and all that good stuff. I have a podcast called My Bed and Astrology. It's on Spotify now. So please just check it out. I think you guys would like it. I talk about cool different subjects that people usually don't talk about um, in the in the Astro community. Um, so yeah, I would love for you guys to check that out. And I have a Etsy shop where I do my readings. So if you're interested in a reading, check that out too. My cheapest reading is $15. And then also you can support me on Patreon. I do exclusive videos there about full moon, new moon. And so this month I'm going to talk about the solar eclipse and lunar eclipse, because solar eclipse and lunar eclipse is basically just a fancy glorified version of a new moon and a full moon. So if you're interested in knowing that video and learning more about that video, my link to my Patreon page is below. The lowest you can subscription you can have is $2 a month. There's some higher subscriptions. You can read through the tiers and see what you can get. You can get some bomb ass shit from me. Listen, I'm not trying to toot my own horn, but everyone loves my readings. Everyone says I'm accurate. Try it out, my nigga. Okay? Alright, guys. I'm sorry. I'm Leo mooning right now, okay? But much love and blessings to all of y'all. Be safe and enjoy your summer and enjoy this Mercury retrograde. It's not going to be as difficult, okay, as you think it would be. Just know this energy will pass, and it's also to be a learning lesson, alright? Peace out, y'all. Bye-bye.